I've spoken to many of my friends who were former lobbyists, and they shared with me the kind of money that's potentially there to make. But maybe for the viewer that hasn't had the ability to talk to somebody to know what kind of money lobbyists make, what is the business model for the lobbyist? Not the politician, but the actual lobbyist representing a company. What is their business model?
Well, their business model is to take their position. Their position may have been as a congressional staffer, it may have been for a member of Congress. And then when they leave office, whether they retire from Congress or they leave as a congressional staffer or they're voted out of office as a member of Congress, is to become a lobbyist and to go to the very people that you perform services for while you were in office and to now get paid. So think about it this way. Sometimes there are transactions where if I'm purchasing something from you, you give me a good and I pay you back directly. Sometimes if we're exchanging a service, you perform a service and we sign a retainer agreement. I don't pay you the full amount, but I pay you a certain amount every month just to make sure that we have that retainer agreement. Lobbying is very similar. Oftentimes they use the retainer model. So if I'm the powerful chairman of a congressional committee, I decide to retire and I become a lobbyist. Let's say I was chairman of the House Budget Committee, enormous power and influence on federal government spending. I'm going to set up a lobbyist shop, and what's going to happen is all the government contractors, all the individuals who are getting government money are now going to hire me as a lobbyist, and I can make $50,000 a month just from one client, and I might have 15 or 20 clients at the same time. Basically, what I'm going to use is my position as the former chairman of the committee to do what? I'm going to go to the current occupants, and I'm going to say, look, I need you to do me a favor. I have this client that needs this written into legislation, or they need this favor done. And the current occupant, based on the way it works in Washington, D.C., is going to play ball. Why are they going to play ball? Because when they leave as chairman of the House Budget Committee, they're probably going to do the same thing. So it's a business model and a system that is on rotation. And it's very, infrequently talked about. It's very infrequently discussed. Why? Because both sides do it. It's one of the few things in Washington that's still bipartisan, but this ability to make money as a member of Congress when you really don't necessarily even have any other skill set other than the fact that you know other people in positions of power is an enormously alluring way to make money, and nobody wants to disrupt that.
So it's not uncommon to make 5 to 10 million a year as a lobbyist, if you're a good lobbyist.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely right. And also, to be clear, there's a lot that you can do in the area of, let's say, government relations that's not technically lobbying, but it's essentially the same thing with a few slight modifications. So you take a guy like Senator Tom Daschle, former leader for Democrats in the U.S. Senate. He's been out for a while. But Tom Daschle will say, I'm not a lobbyist, I'm in government relations. But what does he do? He represents pharmaceutical companies and others that have a beef or that have a problem or want a favor from the federal government. And as long as he doesn't cross that threshold into being a lobbyist, whereby he devotes a certain amount of his time to asking for specific legislation to pass, he can avoid being labeled a lobbyist. But he's still pulling in $50,000 a month from a client, doing favors and getting benefits from Washington, D.C.
I mean, that's real money. Making 5 to 10 million a year, you got pretty good lifestyle now.